Hello there, dear YouTubers. My name is King1993, and today is another day of me trying to explain another part of this game. And today's topic will be about a mecha. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Now, today's mecha which I want to talk about is called Alborada. Now, I will be making the chart again. Okay, I'll be making the walkthrough again in alphabetical order. Okay, so it will give you guys a proper idea of what is happening. So today's topic, as I've said, is going to be about Alborada. Now, here is the thing. Alborada obviously has many ups and downs. It has mostly down things, so which is why I don't use it. But it doesn't mean that is bad in general. It is bad for my preference. Okay, so what is my best mecha? Well, the mecha which I use on a regular basis is Tomblight. Okay, but trust me, every people has their own ups and downs of which type of mecha they should be using. Like they have their own niche of playing. Okay, so for the people who actually like the Alborada play style, they can actually benefit from it. Okay, now to further demonstrate what is actually happening with this Alborada, I'll be explaining all the topic in the training ground to actually give you guys a proper idea of what is happening with this mecha and how you can use this mecha in the battlefield. Okay. Okay, so first of all, let's summon Alborada, and the first thing that I am gonna do is to give you guys a proper demonstration of which core you should be using. Now here it is. It is written here that if you want to use this mecha normal ability, first core, that is, it will basically give more what should I call it? More damage output, and this one will basically give this mecha the ability to use the secondary attack as a homing capability. Okay, so obviously from that point of perspective, this one will depend on you, but most of the time the secondary one is going to be more useful because it will basically seek out enemies, whereas this one you must need to go indirectly in front of the enemy to actually attack them. And trust me, this game, most of the mecha in this game are actually very high damage dealing, but the main problem with this method is, even though all of the mechas are very good at damage dealing, this game is not about damage dealing only. This game is about knowing how to make your mechas durability stay available as high as possible for the longest period of time, so that your mecha doesn't get killed, because as soon as your mecha gets killed, you'll have lower chance of actually winning a fight. Okay, so that's the thing. Now here it is. When it comes to the attack module, I suggest that you use a Song of Courage. I will tell you why later. uh, Song of Fortitude, I suggest that you use the Song of Fortitude because it will basically give a lot more shield, okay, to this mecha. And finally, the last one, which is the propulsion module, is going to be attack speed, so your overall attack speed will increase. Okay, now let's talk about the long distance first. Okay, so when it comes to the long distance battle, this mecha is actually not the best mecha. To trust me, if you use this mecha on long range battle, you will most likely to die from the attack rather than doing anything. Another problem with this mecha is its small step is a little bit annoying. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna shoot that mecha over there, which is about 300 meters away. So let's see if all of my attacks can actually reach there. As you can see here, not all of the attack are actually being reached. So what does this mean? It means in a long range attack, okay, this mecha is not the best. Okay, so if a sniper type of mecha were to be trying to aim you at a very long distance of more than 300 meters, your Alborada is most likely gonna get destroyed. Okay, so that's the thing. Now when it comes to the secondary attack, even the secondary attack is not strong enough to is not good enough to actually hit the mecha which are 300 meters away. So if you want to survive against a long range mecha, I suggest that you do not use this mecha. Okay, but what about mid range and short range? In mid range and short range, this mecha is fine. Now in terms of mid range, obviously you have to look at a mecha to actually understand whether if that mecha is in a long range or in a short range, because if you were to mark all of them, obviously it will get frustrating, whereas if you use this crosshair and see if the mecha is bigger than the crosshair, it means it is almost in a mid-range. So in a mid-range fight, if you were to use normal attack, the normal attack is 100% accuracy, no doubt about that. Okay, now when you use the secondary attack, okay, The secondary attack is a beam, and once this beam shoots, you can use port 2 and click on the secondary attack again to make this stay in the air for a certain period of time. For example, let me do it again. Okay, so I guess I pressed a lot sooner. Okay, here it is. So once the first attack happens, immediately switch on the secondary attack again, and that beam will stay there for a little bit longer period of time. After you have used that ability, what will happen is you will get homing attack capability, such as let me shoot it again. Now homing attack has been activated. How do you know homing attack is activated? As you can see here, the attacks are basically getting guided by this certain screen, okay, and it stays for a short period of time. It will eventually go away. Now another reason why I have selected this which one, this one here, Song of Courage, is to lower the overall cooldown rate. So the more you shoot the enemy mecha, the more the cooldown rate is, and the more you will be able to use the secondary attack. Now why am I keep on saying that you should be using the secondary attack? That is because the main capability of this mecha is the secondary attack of this mecha, and the secondary attack of this mecha allows this mecha to actually able to produce a shield for a longer period of time, so that the enemies who try to hit you again and again, at least you will have enough time to gain back your shield. So this is basically my opinion, okay, on how you should be using this mecha in mid-range. Now what about short range? Truth to be told, this mecha in short range is only good if your opponent's let's say durability is in half, okay. For example, an opponent suddenly show up, or you suddenly going towards an enemy, then what will happen is you use the secondary attack. After using the secondary attack, you can basically use the normal attack button to actually do massive damage to them. So that is basically how you have to fight in the what should I call it, in the mid-range, sorry, in the short range, to make the mecha very useful. Okay, what the this is basically what happens when there are me trying to doing something, and that guy basically forgets to lock his or her. Yo bro, okay, let's see. Yo bro, can you turn off your sound, please, your mic? Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's the thing. As you probably saw, that the secondary attack basically causes the mecha to produce a shield, and this shield is gonna stay long enough time to actually make sure that you are destroying the enemy mecha as fast as possible, okay. So that is basically it, okay. Now can this mecha run away from the field? Okay, so there are a lot of mechas in the field, in this game, that if you were to use their tactical skill will basically make the mecha go and hide in a certain place, whereas this mecha can't. For example, if you want to actually use this mecha 100% efficiently, you must never go into the wide area of the battlefield. If you go into the wide area of the battlefield, obviously this mecha is not gonna survive. Why will this mecha not survive? Because the overall dashing capability of this mecha is extremely limited, and it cannot go up, or let's say jump extremely far. So because of that reason, what will happen is, if you are near a certain building, and if that building is a very tall building, then this jump is not actually efficient enough to make this mecha go into a higher platform in terms of avoiding attacks, okay. So the other question remains, okay, then how is this mecha useful in that regards? Well, obviously in this fight, obviously you do not get the maximum damage output if you keep on facing the enemy straight on. What you must need to do is to hide behind a certain object to make sure that you are basically will be able to hit the mecha and hide immediately afterwards. For example, let's say I'm gonna shoot this mecha over there, and then they are suddenly shooting me back. I immediately use the dashing capability to run away from that place, okay. So that is basically how you have to use this mecha in terms of making sure that the enemy is not going to be able to hit you again. Okay, so that is basically how you have to hide and attack at the enemies, otherwise your chances of survival is going to be extremely low. Now another thing about this mecha is that if you are playing in a team deathmatch, obviously what will happen is in a team deathmatch, every time you try to use secondary attack on your enemy, obviously the enemy will receive damage, but also at the same time, if there are allies nearby, the allies will basically take a shield. Okay, it will produce a shield for them, and it will stay active for a certain period of time. So yeah, if you are planning on doing team support, then obviously Alborada is a very good mecha. But when it comes to overall survivability of this mecha by itself, it is actually extremely low because it cannot run away from the battlefield very easily. And to compensate for that, at least this shield is very useful in that regards. Okay, so what am I gonna say about this mecha? I say that this mecha is very useful in terms of producing a shield and defending your allies. Other than that, in terms of surviving by itself, it is actually not the best mecha. Now another technique I forgot to mention, let's say for this mecha only, is let's say you are suddenly in a place where you can do a sneak attack. The sneak attack of this mecha is also not very good unless you use the secondary attack. Okay, for example, let's say I'm gonna shoot that Arthur over there. So the thing which I can do is I jump and then use the secondary attack, jump and secondary attack, and by doing so I will be able to launch a surprise attack. But here is the thing is this mecha cannot stay in the air for a longer period of time to do even more damage. So what am I gonna do? Well, let's see if I can do something about it or not. So as you can see, I have to jump multiple times to actually hit the mecha there. So yeah, you have to actually stay in the air for a limited period of time, extended period of time, and in order for you to stay in the air for an extended period of time, you have to continuously jump and shoot. Otherwise what will happen is this is not going to be effective. And if this is not going to be effective, then at the end of the day, what will happen is the sneak attack ability of this mecha is not going to be very useful. So yeah, in order for you to actually make this mecha as useful as possible, make this mecha do more sneaky attack instead of forward attack. Okay, this mecha cannot survive in a forward attack because this mecha's shield is good, but the thing is this mecha's running capability is not that good. Okay, so yeah, that is the whole thing. Another thing is, let's talk about water. Let's say you are beneath water level. Okay, so how would I measure the water level? Let's say up to this much here. Okay, let's say up to this much is the water level, and you cannot actually shoot once you are inside the water. So what can you do? You have to jump, right? But the thing is, once you are in a large map, okay, where the water distance is actually very high, and you have to go from one place to another, which happens often in this game. So what can you do if you are in the ground? Sorry, if you are in the water and your enemy is above the water because the enemy is using some sort of skateboard or floating device, then what will happen then? Then in that case, I suggest that you do not use this mecha, because this mecha in terms of surviving in water is almost zero, because in order for you to actually make sure that this mecha can stay on the water and able to shoot the enemy, obviously this mecha needs some propulsion help, which this mecha actually doesn't have. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, let's see. Let me summon one of the other mechas, then I'll be able to give you a demonstration. For example, let's say Arthur. So what can Arthur do? Let's say Arthur is inside in the water, okay, and there is a certain enemy coming by on the skateboard, and what can you do? You can basically jump, double jump, and then able to shoot at the enemy pilot or mecha and able to make them take damage, whereas the same cannot be said about Alborada, because Alborada cannot actually go that much high, and because of that reason the survival of Alborada inside the water is actually very low because of low running speed, low jump height, and not being able to use any of the primary or the secondary attack inside the water, which is why Alborada's ability to survive in the water is extremely low. Now, do understand that I am not a pro Alborada user, so I cannot actually say what is good and what is bad, but these are the overall things that I know about Alborada. And if you think that you can actually gain some inside guide from it, okay, then obviously use that guide as much as possible. Now, let's talk about some other things which are not in this training ground, but which are in the lobby. So in terms of module, which module is actually best for Alborada? Now, here is the thing. When it comes to Alborada, the modules are basically the same as most of the mechas module, okay? And what are those? For example, most of my mecha, I give them reload rate, another one here, reload rate, okay? So as you can see here, this range attack, rapid mag, optimal reload, and efficient transmission, because all 4 of these has reload rate, which basically lowers the overall reloading time. That is very good, okay? And here is the thing, there is combat skill recovery, and there is another combat skill recovery, and there is secondary weapon recovery, okay, in both of these. So what does this mean? It means that if you are planning on using Alborada, and if you give Alborada this set, then Alborada will be quickly able to regain all of its ammunition, okay, as fast as possible. That is point number 1. And point number 2 is Alborada will then be able to use the secondary attack, okay, as fast as possible. And in terms of combat skill, you have to give these 2 things to increase the combat skill recovery, okay. Combat skill are basically tactical skill recovery. So once you have these 2 equipped, another you'll be getting about 3.2% of combat skill recovery. Now, in order to get even more combat skill recovery, I suggest that you go to this pilot called ROM and give the ROM ability, which is combat control. And combat control basically give the players, it doesn't matter who the player are, like I'm also a player anyway, so it will basically give the player the ability to use minus 10% combat skill. So if there is minus 10% combat skill cooldown, then obviously you will be able to use the combat skill of Alborada as much as possible. So yeah, this is gonna be the combination. What are the combination? The combination will be the following, which I just already showed you again. Let's see. The combination will be range attack, rapid mag, optimal, quick cooldown, engine boost, and efficient, okay. These are the 6 mods. And the final pilot mecha skill is gonna be this combat control. And then what will happen is overall you will be able to use Alborada's primary weapon and secondary weapon, and will be able to do tactical dashing or tactical use as much as possible in the game, okay. So these are overall my conclusion regarding of which type of pilot or which type of pilot mecha skill you should be using, okay, combat control that is, and which type of mods you should be using, and how you should be using Alborada on the battlefield, okay. So that is the whole thing. So this mecha is actually not the best in terms of going in many places, okay. This mecha is slow, this mecha is, what should I call it, not good for long range. So this mecha has many faults, which is why I do not plan on using this mecha, okay. Like if this mecha were to get to higher ground, or if were to produce a very strong shield, or let's say if this mecha were to move a little bit faster, then I would have used this mecha. But because this mecha can only do recovery skill, okay, and is able to produce shield by itself, this mecha is useful for some players who knows how to use them. But when it comes to, let's say, high landscape areas such as tall buildings or some other places, then I would never use this mecha, okay. This is the main reason why I have not used this mecha at all, because even though this mecha is actually favored by many players, I still would not recommend this as a very good mecha for beginners, okay. So this is over my conclusion. Now, in case if you're wondering, okay, what are the top players who are using this Alborada? Like, are they good or are they bad? Well, let's see about that. So let's see. This person definitely uses some other mecha and not Alborada. Seems like this person used to use Alborada but not anymore. This second one has higher piloting time but lower kill death ratio. So if the kill death ratio is higher than the time used, it basically means that Alborada is a very good mecha in that regards. Okay. Now what about this third one? Now in this third one, same thing. The overall duration of this mecha used is higher than the kill death ratio. So again, not a very good example. The example have to be something like higher kill death ratio than the piloting duration. What about this one? So this is the one player I know. I used to play with this player often, but here's the thing. The piloting time is higher, but the kill death ratio is lower. Okay. The example have to be something like mechas of this category, such as the okay, where is it? Here it is. It has to be something like this, that the piloting duration, whatever it is must need to be lower than the kill death ratio. So I was able to get more kills out of this Doomlight than I would ever get from an Alborada. Okay, so if you like this video regarding of this topic of how to use Alborada, then please give a like and subscribe and click the bell notification icon so that I'll be able to get we'll be able to give you guys more of this type of topic on a regular basis. Thank you and see you again next time.